Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust. First order of business is the Pisces 200,018 Honorable Mention Award presented by the Oklahoma Water Resources Board Executive Director, Julie Cunningham. And I'll turn it over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a few members from the Water Board here today to tell us all about an Honorable Mention Award we got for the Atoka Dam Spillway Project. So Joe Freeman is here. He is the Chief of the Financial Assistance Division, and he'll be doing the presentation today. So welcome, Joe. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Trust. My name is Joe Freeman. I'm Chief of the Financial Assistance Division at the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. Julie Cunningham, our Executive Director, was not able to be here today. She is getting to have the pleasure of working on an interim legislative committee this afternoon for a meeting tomorrow, and I think she'd rather be here with you, to be honest. So I'm setting in for her. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has been presenting the Pisces Awards for about 10 years or so to either various state programs such as ours or to projects that are done throughout the United States. Nominations were received by EPA this year from all 10 regions of EPA for projects throughout the United States. There were a total of 30 nominations for various awards. The one that we nominated Oklahoma City for, or an award for Oklahoma, the nomination we made was for the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust. I'm sure you can remember better than I can what it was like 4 years ago or so when the Atoka Reservoir, the spillway, washed out and things, and probably you've all definitely seen that phenomenal footage that was taken of moving big slabs of concrete like they were little Lego toys. But we were very pleased to be involved in the project to help on the rehabilitation of that project and provide over $30 million in funding through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund Loan Program. EPA is recognizing the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust first for raising the area where there more stormwater can be retained in the reservoir, and then also the big environmental benefit then that resulted from that of the restoration of this spillway, of more stormwater being able to retain this in the reservoir, is the reduction in non-point source nutrients and sediment downstream. And that is how EPA looked at it. So while you were protecting the supply for us, the citizens of Oklahoma City, you also were improving the watershed area, and the area was on the 303D list of impaired waters of Oklahoma. So at the time you were doing that project, you definitely did your part on improving the environment in that area, and I commend you for that. For that, Lori Johnson, my Assistant Chief, has the award here for you. Mr. Edwards, if we could present that to you, we'd appreciate it. You want me to do it? So if we could come down and we could get a picture with you, we'd appreciate it. And congratulations to you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Trust. Chris, you might need to come help. And if I could, Mr. Chairman, I also would be remiss not to say that we sincerely appreciate working with your staff, with Chris Browning and Brett and Billy and Sam and all the rest of your staff are great to work with. We really appreciate that.
Great job, yes. Where do you want me?
Just here to Tanya.
I'm right.
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Members have a copy of the minutes of the May 21st meeting, and I would recognize a motion that they be approved. Then moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Next, we have the consent docket. A number of approvals are required, and I would recognize a motion to approve them all. It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. Approved. Next item is a concurrence docket, which are basically approvals with the city of Oklahoma City, and I would recognize a motion that the concurrence docket be approved. It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. Now we have items for individual consideration. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a presentation today by Lisa Hubble. What we'd like to do is revise an ordinance and the process for setting fees at the marinas and the dry stalls at both Hefner and Draper.
Good afternoon, Chairman and trustees. The item before you today is a resolution recommending the City Council amend and repeal the boat stall fees for both marinas at Hefner and Draper. And historically, fees have been adopted by ordinance, but the revenues that are generated from boat stall rentals are Aquit revenues. And so by taking them out of the ordinance, Aquit will now be able to adopt those fees by resolution, which will allow Aquit greater flexibility in developing fees and being responsive to the customer's needs. So part of the nexus for this request is an issue that we have down at Draper. And Draper, back in 2013, we completed a project to build the first phase of the docks at the Draper Marina. In 2009, the docks were destroyed by a tornado, and so the trust secured a consultant, and they did review committee meetings with the boat stall renters and the elected officials to discuss the improvements for the marina and how they would move forward. And so they decided on 3 different boat stalls with 3 different sizes, a large, medium, and small. The group determined that the first phase of the project would be for the large boat stalls. And so they constructed the project, and it was completed in 2013. That boat dock and all the boat docks will have amenities of electricity and water. So the cost for constructing that third boat dock with the large stalls was just over $1 million, and it constructed 34 wet stalls, 2 of which were provided to the police department so they could provide lake patrols at the lake. So the way that we develop the rates for those boat stalls is we take the amortized construction cost, the cost for operations and maintenance, electricity, and the wet stall management. And then it's divided by the available boat stalls that are for rent. The problem with this is that we have noticed that we have smaller boat owners that can't really afford that large fee. So we would like to come back with a resolution to establish fees that are more tailored to the size of the boat versus the actual stall. And we're hoping that that will generate interest in the boat stalls and help increase the occupancy, and then help us to actually gauge the need for additional boat docks. And it will also enable us to determine what size should be the next phase. So if you have any questions in relation to the boat stalls, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Question. On this, the construction cost for this comes out of the non-ratepayer revenues, right?
That's
Is that
correct,
Is that
yes.
goes- Okay.
And so all the revenues that are generated from the rentals goes back into the non-ratepayer fund.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, Lisa.
I recognize a motion to approve this concurrence item. It's been moved. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll vote. Approved. Second item is concurrence with the City of Oklahoma City in approving the amendment number 1 and amended change order number 1 with CGC LLC. Projects. I'm sorry, my fault. Second item for individual consideration is a resolution recommending. Well, okay. Sorry, everybody. Are there any items from trustees? My general manager report says I apologize for making a mistake on the agenda. Any citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we're adjourned.